Hello, everybody. We are Bridging Realms with Melody Pash, and these are my team members, Darla and Jill. Say hello, ladies.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. Hello. How's everybody today? We are happy to
Yeah.
be here. We're very happy to be here. We're going to talk today a little bit about, excuse me, the language in your dreams and the way God speaks through the language in your dreams. One of the things that he does is he speaks more metaphorically. He speaks very symbolically. So when you have a dream or even sometimes a prophetic word, it can seem very cryptic when in reality, the Lord is just wanting you to tap into Him for the interpretation. So not only are you working on your interpretation of the message, but you're also working on the interpretation of His language because He speaks very differently than we do, oftentimes. So there are lots and lots of examples of that. We'll talk about some of those. Sometimes in your dreams, he's also going to use specific elements that you're not going to be finding in a dream dictionary. And if you do, it's going to be the wrong definition for what God is using in your dream because he's all about speaking through your colloquialisms. He's very much about speaking in a way that you understand, but he really likes riddles and he really likes puzzles. And as much as I hate them, he really likes that. So, one of the things, though, I do want to share about just, the language in dreams is really sort of the same sometimes as a prophetic language. So, you get a dream or you get a vision or you get a prophetic word, and sometimes the language really sort of crosses over. By that, I mean, he speaks somewhat cryptically. Other times, he's very, very clear. It's the same with a dream, a vision, or a prophetic word. Sometimes it's so clear that you have absolutely no question about it. It's a literal dream, or it's a literal vision, or it's a more literal and timely prophetic word. But oftentimes it's not. And that's what we're talking about today. The times that it isn't so literal and the times that you kind of scratch your head and go, what is he saying? And what do I even do with that? Because he is going to use a language that is going to prompt you to seek him. That's what he's doing. He's calling you in, he's wooing you in. It's kind of, how sometimes the Lord can be a little bit sneaky. He's kind of strange and sneaky sometimes. That's one of the things I like about him. But he will do this sort of bait and switch. I had a bait and switch about a week ago, and I was like, what just happened? I'm so confused. I have no idea what you just did, Lord, and I'm following blindly like I always do, and I'm being radically obedient, but I so do not understand this, and this wasn't on my radar. So he will bring things up that will be very sometimes unique to you so that you will spend time with him, contending and pulling on him for the answers. He likes that. He gets a kick out of that. That's fun for him. I don't know why, but it's fun for him. He enjoys that. So also I want to talk about just some of the things that can happen in a message within a dream, a vision, or a prophetic word. Let's just talk about that. One of the things that happens is because there's always a purpose. Haven't you had dreams sometimes, or you've had a prophetic word, or you've had a vision, and your question to the Lord is, okay, what's the purpose of that? I don't get the purpose. What's the purpose of that? You will not sneeze. You will not sneeze. You will not sneeze. Not right now. Okay. So, um, these are the things that God's accomplishing when He speaks to you in those ways. He might be all about setting you free from bondage, right? It might be a dream, might be connected to a deliverance, but so can a prophetic word. A prophetic word can set you free from something that's even been in your generational line, even as deep as an iniquity um, in your family line, and it's maybe been there for years, and He can heal it, boom, break it, take it off in one prophetic word. One prophetic word. His word is creative. So He knows exactly what He's doing. And it's His desire and plan to set you free from all opposing forces, all opposing forces. And He wants to give you understanding. He wants to break old systems off, and He wants to give you understanding. So this is why He speaks to you, even though sometimes it feels like He's speaking a different language. You know why it seems like He's speaking a different language? Because He's speaking a different language. He is really speaking a language that you are not yet adept at, and you have to learn His language. And again, He really likes that. The other thing He desires to do is to aid you in moving toward your destiny. That's another reason why He will work in your life, speak in your life through dreams, visions, prophetic words, prophetic signs, symbols all around you. He's opening a way for you to advance, and He's giving you the call. And sometimes that call is something very unique. I remember years and years ago, I was wanting to find a church, and I was looking for just the right church, and I needed a church. I felt like I needed a church where I could be fed. You know, I've been raised in church. My dad, both my grandfathers were Baptist preachers and served in the church. And so I was really born into the church, but I was looking for a church that was different, a church that was very much alive, that was very much demonstrative to the Spirit of the Lord, that was very much faith based and taught the faith. And this was during the faith that movement, faith movement, the Word of Faith movement, they called it. And so I'm driving down 635 in Interstate 635 in Dallas one day, and I'm just praying in the Spirit, and I'm like, Lord, I need fellowship that is going to train me in warfare and the prophetic and all the things I'm missing, and especially build my faith. And I have prayed and prayed and prayed, and I've asked and I've asked and I've asked. Hi, daughter, how are you? And I look up at a billboard, and the billboard has an advertisement for this church, and it says, "Go to this church." It literally said, "Go to this church." And it has the name of the church, and it's a billboard as big as day. I mean, as big as day. Can't miss it. Couldn't miss it. The sign was there. He will answer and He will talk to you in very strange and sort of enigmatic ways sometimes. And it tickles me the way He communicates with us, because it's always different than we really expect. Excuse me. He's also all about our hearing our needs and our desires, but he's holding us close to His heart so that He can minister to us in the places where we have needs that are not yet met, or where we are in a place that is deficit of what we feel we need, or how we need to be strengthened, or all of that. The Lord knows what He's doing. he also uses those types of message to offer his deep love for you. He's very passionate about you, and he yearns for you to know that you are his true love. You are his love. He loves and adores you. And then it's with the individual, always with the individual. He's always near and personally knows what's going on in your life. So sometimes those messages are just saying, I know where you are, I'm with you. It may not be the answer you're looking for. It's, I'm here, I'm comforting you, my arms are around you, I'm embracing you, I'm your father, and you can trust me, because he has deep, deep compassion for us as well, and deep empathy. So we're going to talk about some of the ways that he speaks. And in your dreams at times, words or elements will come up that, yes, you can go straight to a dream dictionary and you can look it up in the dictionary, but the answer may not be what God is speaking. And we have talked about this before, where it's very important that you check in with the author of the message in your dreams, right? You got to talk to Holy Spirit about it, because he's the author of your dreams and he is the one who can interpret them. Technically, no one else can. It's by the Spirit. It's by his Spirit that he will interpret those prophetic words, the visions, the dreams. And yes, he will use other people. Absolutely. He does that so often. But we also really have to listen as he's speaking to us as well. So I want to share a couple of things, a couple of elements that, and you're going to notice this if you're listening to your dreams over years and over time. God will use specific elements in your dreams over and over and over. And yes, they may mean something different every time they are in a dream, but they may also be the same thing. So that's why we have to check in with the author. We have to talk to the creator of our dreams and of those messages. So I used to do a lot of hanging out in Starbucks, and I would work there a lot. I would have my computer. People would, I'd wind up talking to people, connecting with people there. Well, it was interesting because Starbucks started showing up in a lot of my dreams, a lot of my dreams. And I was like, Lord, what are you talking about? What is Starbucks? What are you talking about? What's the representation? And you're not going to find Starbucks in any dream dictionary, well, except ours on the site, because it has come up in dreams. And the dream dictionary that we have for our school, those elements came out of students and staff's dreams. That's why it's very, very unique. But you can't get to it unless you're in the school. So anyway, so let's get back to Starbucks. So Starbucks, I would have these dreams that I was in Starbucks and I'm ordering coffee, and coffee, okay, coffee's a wake-up call. And okay, I get that. And then I've got all these people around me in the Starbucks, and I can't figure out when I wake up what exactly is going on. Well, years and years ago, I was staying in a little suburb outside of Atlanta, and that was, I don't even know what year that was. It was a very, very long time ago. And I was staying with a worship leader because I had spoken at a conference. And I was staying with this worship leader. And the next day, so I spent the night with her. The next day, I said, where's the nearest coffee shop? And she said, well, there's a Starbucks right down the street. And she had to go to work. So she drops me off at Starbucks. I was there. I'm going to give you the short story. I was there for 11 hours. I went to the bathroom. maybe twice, I had one cup of coffee that I barely finished, and I was with someone all day long. Somebody would come in, I would meet them, I would prophesy to them, talk to them, minister to them, pray for them, and then they would leave. And as they were leaving, they're texting a friend, and the friend would show up before they hardly got out the door. It was literally like this revolving door of ministry in Starbucks. And that went on for 11 hours straight. So the Lord began to talk to me about ministry. I love coffee. So a coffee shop is a great place for me to be doing ministry. But when Starbucks came up in my dreams, well, I began to have a much better understanding of why Starbucks came up. Ladies, you guys want to share some of the things that the Lord uses in your dreams as well that are unique to what they might be in someone else's dream?
Yeah, I could think of one in particular. I used to have dreams of a bear chasing me and attacking me, something that was quite vicious. And it would always take me into a cave where I was trapped. And anyway, I would have these reoccurring dreams a lot, but one time I had another dream with a bear in it, and this time it was a really good dream. And what happened was I was in this house, and this medium-sized, well, it was a pretty good-sized bear, was standing there watching me. And anyway, I was experimenting. I was thinking, I could do the things that Jesus did. And so Jesus walked through walls and things like that. So I would try to, well, I put my hand up against the wall, and my arm would go in through the wall. And I thought, wow, this is pretty good. So then I'd try my foot, and it would happen. And then I tried my head, and my head got stuck. And then people were laughing at me. And so anyway, I turned around and I watched, and this bear, this cinnamon bear, was sitting there watching me very intently. And anyway, the rest of the people decided to get in this SUV and go, and the bear wanted to go with them. And he tried to get in, but he was too big. And so they shoot him out. And so he came and sat right beside me as I was standing watching this SUV go. And anyway, I patted the bear on the head, and I said, big is good. So a big God is really good. So he represented
No.
Jesus in that particular dream. So anyway, that was a different meaning for both types of animals, the bears, positive and a negative. So
I love that. And isn't that the way the Lord works? I love that. I'm reminded of a dream. I love that the bear was Jesus. I remember having a dream where I was invited into the backseat of this limousine with this man with a, like a pointed tongue. And he was very, very handsome, but he was dark, and he didn't look like anybody I should probably be hanging out with, but he was this beautiful man that I would be attracted to, right? And he kissed me, and I noticed that his tongue was like sharp, and I was like, oh, what did I just make covenant with? And I wake up, I'm getting out of the car, I wake up, and I was like, oh, Jesus, I'm so sorry. Father, I'm so sorry for whatever it is I'm in covenant with. And he was like, what's Jesus' tongue like? And I said, it's a sword of the Spirit. It's right. It's like a two-edged sword. And he was like, uh-huh. I was like, oh. And he did look like a foreigner, and he was dark-skinned. He wasn't, he doesn't look like me, and so that was very, very different for me. Sorry. Go ahead, Darla. That was
Oh,
awesome, Jill.
those are strange dreams. I don't have any quite that fascinating. Um, I have a love for babies. Ever since I was a little girl, I loved babies. And so sometimes a recent dream that I recall, well, in the last 10 years anyway, was I went into this beautiful room in this beautiful building. And as I went inside, I thought, oh, this would be a great place to hang out, to have access to. Well, I started looking around and there were lots of little babies in this room with very, very poopy diapers. So I was thinking maybe this isn't so fun. And I knew that if I decided to stay in this room, in this beautiful building, that I needed to deal with some of those poopy diapers. And a funny thing, talking about personal things, how God has his language for us and us for him.
Yeah.
Um, he, I, for some reason, most of my life, my nose doesn't work all that great. I don't smell things like everybody else smells things. And in fact, it's funny, a little nephew of mine, I overheard him yesterday saying, Darla smells like bananas. And I didn't know why I smelled like bananas. But in this dream, I thought, okay, I have to make a choice. I have to deal with these poopy diapers or I have to find another place to go. And even in my heart, I knew that Jesus was offering me this. And so it turned out to not be about babies at all, but baby Christians and brand new baby prophets, the people that we have in our school. Sometimes, we get a little poopy pants and we all do. but but there we go. It's always that choice. Are we going to take that? Because like we just talked about not long ago, God knows what's going to bring us the most joy. And that's the gifting that he puts us in because he wants us to enjoy our life. So it's an absolute yes to deal with those poopy diapers because there's a whole lot of sweetness in these relationships as well.
That is so true. What a great story. I love hearing all these stories, right? I think it's so sweet the way he works and the way he talks. And you're right. He knows what we need. He knows what we need. And when he's working with our soul, he's been working with my soulish realm, he's been giving what I need, not necessarily what I wanted. But this is the deal. This is the deal. And this is the way he works. What you need is technically always going to be 100 times better than what you imagined you were going to like best. That's what I have experienced with him. It's like, oh, okay, well at first I'm like, oh no, I don't need that. I'm not even attracted to that. That doesn't seem appealing to me at all. And then it lands in my lap and I'm like, oh, this is good stuff. That's got some bells and whistles and that's pretty. And this is, and whatever it is he's talking about, but his desires, like, I think he like yearns to surprise us with things we cannot, because the word talks about how he wants to bless us with things that are over and above what we can think or imagine, right? Your brain doesn't know. We don't know. And we look at a circumstance or we look at a situation and we're like, oh, this does not look good. I'm not liking where I'm at. And we don't realize what God's working in us through those circumstances. And if we cannot be flexible and allow him to work in those circumstances, then we are not open-handed when it's time for the gifts and the blessings to come, and our hearts are not ready, not prepared. We're not prepared, right, for what's coming and what he's put in us. And he can't release it because it'll take us out. Those things will take us out if we're not prepared and equipped. But he loves, loves, loves to bless us with I love surprises. I'm that gal. I know. I drive all of my, yes, you guys can laugh. I drive my staff crazy. I drive my students crazy because I love surprises. So every now and then you got to pull out this great surprise, and the staff and the students are like, where are we going? What are we doing? What's all this about? And I'm like, you'll know when we get there. You'll know when we get there. It's a surprise. And they're looking at me like, oh my Lord, she's gone crazy. She's gone crazy again. But on the other side of it, they love the surprise and it's sweet. But really, the surprises are not as much for them as they are for me, because I enjoy giving what is a surprise. It's fun to me. It's like, wow, that was so good. They never thought of that. They never thought of
True.
that. And when it hit, their eyes got this big around and their little mouths hung open, and they were like, we get to do this. It's so beautiful. I love it. I love it. Yes, I know you guys are just chuckling.
Yes.
Because there are some stories. There are some definite stories.
Yes.
I'm telling you. But anyway, yeah, you guys have any others you want to, anything else you want to talk about there?
Well, as you were talking, I remembered for a long time, I would have these dreams of these long hallways, and I would run to the end of the hallway. I was being chased because I was exposed as an intruder in the dream. And so I was running away because I was being chased, and the hallways were long, and I'd get to the end and it was a corner, and then there was a whole big long hallway, another one and another one and another one. And finally I got to one where there was a door. And so I thought, okay, I can hide in here. But when I started opening the door, there was another door and another door and another door. Or I could grab the whole bunch of doors and open all of it at once to escape out. But it was a time in my life where I thought I had committed, that I thought both feet were solidly on the ground with my plans for what God had for me. And I was waiting for the big sparkles to happen, like, yes, you've arrived. Well, it wasn't what, like you said, what I had imagined, what I thought that I wanted. But, it was a matter of the transition, opening the dang door, walking through it, or all the doors in one big package. But even though it sounds so simple right now and so easy to understand, at the time, it was really quite the mystery. And it took a long time to figure these things out. But another thing is horses in my dreams. And I love it when sometimes I remember this one time, there's this huge black stallion. I mean, oh, he was gorgeous, long tail, mane, and furious, powerful, muscly. And he came running to me, and the ground was shaking. I could feel it, how when they just go crazy. And he stood in front of me and reared up and showed me the bottom of his feet. Just kind of did this little boxing thing and hit the ground. So, there was no fear. I knew that he was mine, but and honestly, right now, I couldn't tell you why I had to see the bottom of his feet. Maybe, I don't know why, but it strengthens. It lets you know that you're not on the ground against the world, that, God supplies our ride, and our help, our support, so, and excitement, always excitement.
Yeah, no kidding. And isn't it, there are moments where, you have dreams like that and you have elements in it that you try to research, whatever, and it's like nothing's coming up. And it's not to be revealed until the time. There's a time that the Lord will reveal that. But, when I think of, a horse's hooves, I think of like a breaker anointing, because they, when they're fierce like that, what do? They paw at the ground, and it's like they're showing their authority in saying, you better not mess with me. You better not mess with me. I'm letting you know I have authority here. And maybe that's one reason why some of the books will say that horses are related to power and authority for us. So that makes sense too. And of course, that could be Holy Spirit and so many other things. But I love that big black horse with a long mane and tail. I've seen that horse in my dreams as well.
Yay.
Yeah, black, not white, black.
You're
Yeah.
black. Mm.
Uh-huh. Beautiful, like silk,
Yeah.
right? Mine was running along the beach,
Mm.
along the water and splashing. The water was splashing as he was running as fast as he could go. But I was on him and I was bareback and I was just holding his mane and just hunkered down. And yeah, just that power and authority, the way the Lord carries us. I love that. I love that. Well, another thing that I have had in lots of my dreams is a little white, fluffy dog. And yes, some of those elements are going to be related to things in your past or in your life that you would relate to. So, when my daughter was a little girl, we had a little white, fluffy, she was a little toy or a teacup poodle, and her name was Angora because her little, fuzz was literally like Angora wool, and she was the sweetest thing ever. She was just a sweetheart, and she was in many, many, many of my dreams before I realized that she was Holy Spirit, because she was, and Darla, I think you got one of these at your house too. She was the one that wanted to sit either right up against you or in your lap at all times, wanted to be your best friend, just wanted to be close to you, just wanted to fellowship with you, just wanted to be touched, held. And that was Holy Spirit saying, I just want to be close. I just love being close, which is such an honor. But yeah, Angora was and is Holy Spirit a lot of times when she's in my dreams. I love that. Go ahead, girls.
I've had a lot of dog dreams too, and lots of times, sometimes they'll be like a guardian angel, where they're just laying
Yeah.
there, watching laying in front of your doorway, or watching for you as you come up the walkway. And then other times I've had where there's multiple dogs, like a whole litter of puppies that I'm trying to deal with and trying to take care of, and it's really difficult. And I'm like wringing my or pulling my hair out. It's just overwhelming that they're so active and doing so many things that I can't keep up with them, or trying to nurse them, and just being overrun with these dogs. And in that case, it was like I was taking on too much responsibility. That's what the message was at that time. So I was taking on more than I needed to, and it wasn't my responsibility to care for all of those dogs. And so there has been different meanings for the dogs, and lots of times dogs are people types, so it just depends on the context of your dream, what that means. So it's very interesting.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. And yeah, the Darla and I are both playing on the backside today. It's okay, Darla. I knew I should just let you do it. It's all good. But yeah, I love that. And when you talk about, the dogs, Jill, even like the horses or the dogs or, pets that you have had, um, the personalities sometimes or the names are what are really important.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's the attribute of the breed of dog, it's I used to have Bouviers, and Bouviers are herders. Bouvier de Flanders, they're herders. They look like a giant schnauzer. They're very, very large. But if you have them in the front yard with a bunch of kids next to a street, they're herding all the kids away from the street. That's what they do, and they're workers. And the German Shepherds, they guard. That's what they do. They're guardians. And all of the different breeds and the healers and and then you have to think of the word. Is God talking about the blue healer or the red healer? Is he doing a play on words, or are they, because they're also herders, they're also dogs that herd livestock. But what if he's talking about them bringing healing? And boy, don't they? Their personalities are so healing. I have a friend named Bev. I don't know if she'll see this. She used to have this beautiful little black Cocker Spaniel named Janie. And Janie was the most extraordinary, I started to say dog, but maybe animal I've ever met. Beverly would take her out for a walk, and she would be like leading Beverly to individuals. Like someone would be sitting on a bench and she would lead Beverly to this individual, kind of, okay, mom, okay. And Beverly would start talking to them and wind up ministering to them or praying for them. It's like she had a sense for people's needs, and she would just be drawn to people. It was just extraordinary. It was amazing to watch. And she did that like all the time. I've never met a smarter dog. Oh my gosh. We would be sitting on Beverly's sofa watching TV, and Janie did not like horses. She was afraid of horses. And so a horse would come on the television. Boy, she would be raising Cain. And Beverly would say, she would tap on the sofa like that. And she'd say, Janie, turn around. Stop barking. Don't look. And Janie would go, and she would sit there until the advertisement was and the horse was off, and Beverly would say, okay, Janie, and she'd turn around and she'd be just fine.
Wow.
I have never seen a dog like that. Yeah, what that baby's doing in heaven. She's got to be doing all kinds of ministry, because her heart was ministry.
Wow, what a gift.
I know. Isn't that amazing? I just love that. So yeah, just, sometimes it's about your particular pet's personality, or it's about their name, or it's about their breed, or especially if it's a dog that's not your own dog, but it's a dog, just a random dog in the dream. That's typically about the attributes of their dreams, but other animals too, right? Because remember the dream someone had in the school, and then somebody else had a dream 2 years later, same thing, with a serval cat in the dream. And that was before we knew what a serval was. But serval, that's Jesus. He served all, right? And they're quite, they have like a little bobtail, kind of a little bobtail, and they're shaped, they're bigger than a domestic cat, and they have these big, quite large ears. And I've never even heard of a serval cat until we did research with that dream. It was amazing. And looking up all the attributes, and then again, we have another serval come up in another dream, and the attributes were still similar, but not the same in the other dream. But it was still about the empathy and the heart of Jesus, and how Jesus, the word says Jesus was moved by empathy, moved by compassion. Yeah. Well, daughter, to answer your question, we believe that any creature that God made and that humans love are in heaven. We believe that. I believe that.
Mhm.
I believe that. If you ever listen to Kat Kerr talks about her father's favorite pig, whose name I can't remember at the moment. And so she goes to heaven a lot and spends time with the Lord. And she was on this trip to heaven and she saw her dad, and her dad was being followed by that beautiful little pig that was not little, big, but this pig that was apparently her dad's favorite pet, and they loved each other very, very much. And Kat asked the Lord, so animals have souls? And he said, anything anything that my children love, they come here. They're here.
Huh.
So yes, there is something there. I don't know the answer to whether they have souls, but I have to assume that as connected as they are to humans and as much as they are like humans, that wouldn't even surprise me. Even though as a child I was told, animals don't have souls, so when they're gone, which was so sad because why would God do that when he loves them as much as we do? I mean, the word says that he takes care of the sparrow,
Right.
that single sparrow. He takes care of that little sparrow, make sure that it has what it needs. Why wouldn't they be with him?
Well, and he created the animals of the land anyway, and us on the same day, and it doesn't say which one he created first either. I'm
Yeah.
guessing it was the animals. So
Yeah.
of course there's going to be it seems logical. And
I know. I love the way he works. I love the way he speaks. It's good stuff. What else? What else, ladies?
well, bees have been coming up a lot in my dreams.
Oh yeah.
The hornets, just from a really very recent one, that they came from behind and went ahead into war. But I woke up the other morning hearing Queen Bee Land. Yeah, that was it. That was the whole Queen Bee Land.
Mhm.
Queen Bee Land.
Yeah.
Well, of course, we all have bee shirts and we all have bee stuff, and because of the prophetic, for those who are watching that don't understand, the name Deborah actually means bee, but Deborah was, the judge who sat outside of Israel and judged and was, the magistrate for the children of Israel, the people of Israel. And Barak would not go to war without Deborah. She was a prophet, and it's about the prophetic. So, yeah, we will at some point talk about that dream with the hornets in it, and bees buzz and hornets buzz, and the buzz is a vibration, which is also a frequency. And that's the way I believe that the Lord created what he put in the earth, and the earth, because the word says that he brooded over the earth, over the firmament. He brooded over. Well, that's a quivering or a vibration. So that was the frequency that he was releasing to create. I kind of doubt that he said in English, "Let there be light, let there be this, let there be that." I'm pretty sure that he released it in his creative frequency, which might have been I can't remember whether that's the 432 or I don't know what the creation frequency is, but there is a frequency of creation. So yeah, very interesting stuff.
Yeah. My experience with the bees, I've had several, but one in particular, I was grumbling to the Lord, and complaining I couldn't figure out where I fit, in the scheme of things. And anyway, his answer to me was just be. So it was a play on words, and I had to laugh, just be. Whatever the situation is, just be. So anyway, that was one experience with the bees.
I love that. I love that. Hello, Lisa from Touch by Prayer. Good to see you here. Thank you for joining. We love you. And I'll be with you on what, Tuesday? Tuesday we're doing we're gonna be together on your crown chats. So you guys should that's on Facebook, right? You might want to put some information in there for us in case somebody wants to or maybe you need to do that on the YouTube where it actually remains so they could find that. They could go back to that. But yeah, I love the way the Lord works. He's always busy and he's always sort of, I laugh because it's like he's always fishing, he's a fisher of men and he's always fishing and he puts these hooks out and we bite, and he's like, that's what I was looking for. I was looking for you to bite that hook so I could draw you in. I'm drawing you in. So I love that. And his heart is so about, it's like we were saying earlier, it's so about blessing us above and beyond and with more than we could ever think or imagine, because he loves to bless us. He yearns to bless us, and that's the way that he loves us. And earlier I was going to say about the dark horse. Darla, your beautiful black horse reminds me always of the Song of Songs, where the passage says, I am dark but lovely. My love loves me, yet I'm dark but lovely. That beautiful black. I love that. That's so beautiful. It's so lovely. Yeah.
Yeah, in the biggest of ways.
Mm.
The biggest, the final, that can't get any bigger than this,
Right.
Powerful.
So we have to be careful with our religious thinking and our religious mindsets because, somebody might have a dream like that and say, oh, wish it had been a white horse, a righteous horse, a godly horse, right? We judge things, right? We judge things based on our natural understanding. We need to be very careful with that too, because it gets us into trouble. But it also, stinking thinking is right. But it's also, it deprives us of the fullness of God's beauty and of his goodness. And we're all about his goodness. Hello, Anita. I've not seen you in so long. It's good to see you, girl. How are you? Let's see. We got Anita are you still in the Carolinas, Anita? Let's see. Lisa's she's a Jersey girl, if I'm not mistaken. And I think daughter was maybe Colorado. I might have forgotten that, but we've got some stuff going on here. Yeah. So the Lord he's so precious to be. That's right, Lisa. The church as a whole needs to discontinue focusing on the darkness, because it is so. Number one, it's a distraction, and number two, it's idolatry. Did I just say that out loud? I guess I did. Because the idolatry of it is that we're focused on the wrong thing, and we have to focus on that which is righteous and beautiful and lovely, and just like the word says. And that is definitely the heart of God. definitely the heart of God. So we've got to be focused on his beauty and his sweetness, because he is so sweet. He's really sweet. Right, girls?
Yes,
Yes, he is.
absolutely.
What are some other things in your dreams that you had questions about throughout history, ladies, when we were going through dreams? What were some other things that came up that you weren't sure what to do with?
Intersections.
Intersections. That's a good one.
It is. Sometimes north, south, east, west, depending on what you're driving. If you're sitting on the side of the road in the middle, not knowing which way to go,
Or who has the right of way?
Who has the right of way?
Oh,
Is it a four-way stop, or is it a light, or is there a light?
yeah. And how many lanes?
There's a lot there, isn't there?
Mhm.
Yeah, the
Yes.
intersection. You have definitely come to a impasse, right? It's like you got to do something. You can go straight. You can go straight, but you definitely need to stop. Ask the Lord whether it's a right or a left, right?
Yeah.
Lisa's asking about a car that's driving itself. You guys want to speak into that? Is it a Tesla? We love Tesla. I like Tesla.
I'm waiting for Jill.
Go ahead, Jill.
Well, just right off the top of my head, I would say it was spirit driving.
Yeah.
If you don't have a driver, it would be Holy Spirit driving,
Yeah.
driving your life,
Absolutely.
driving your car. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
What
that's
a good
that's
way to be traveling.
Right. Yep. I wouldn't mind having that kind of a dream.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. Well, and they're making all these cars that drive themselves. I'm like, I'm not sure I trust that. I'm sure the engineers trust the mechanisms more than they trust the human error. But the reality is, I don't know. I don't trust cars right now that drive themselves unless it's Holy Spirit. Yeah, that is cray cray. She says that's cray cray. Yeah, absolutely. You don't need someone driving the car when the mechanism, and you open a book, a dictionary about dream symbols. They're going to say the car is your life. It might be your life. It might be your personal ministry. It might be a structure that you are in. It may be a system that you are in. You have to ask Holy Spirit. You cannot just take it for granted that whatever the book says is what God is saying. Oh, whoa. Anita's asking about a house crumbling around you. Well, that's actually a really great dream. However, I would advise you to get out of that house as quickly as possible. It's a great dream because it's the old house, like the old man is coming down. It's crumbling.
Walls.
Yeah,
And
it's crumbling.
walls.
But you got to get out of there. You got to get out of there. There's no time to waste. You need to get out of there. Don't stay, Anita. Don't stay.
No.
What else? You guys also have some other questions? I wish these, we haven't figured out how that works, but apparently all of the comments do not translate over to YouTube, unless maybe you're asking unless maybe you're doing the comments on YouTube, because we hate that we can't get the comments over there. So if you're watching someplace else, Facebook or whatever, looks like Anita, you're on Facebook, I guess it would the comments would remain on Facebook. And if you're watching on, oh, good. It looks like you're watching on YouTube, Lisa. Yeah, then those should remain. But the others, for some strange reason, we can't get them to move over. So sometimes people, I think, listen to the or watch the video and they're not sure what we're referring to. Yeah. Any others? Any other thoughts?
Well, back to the car that drives itself. Do you wonder sometimes if maybe, the world is going, there's transportation happening, movement shifting, typically if the car is driving itself, it's not parked in a garage. So it's like a thing that's already in motion. What if we're supposed to get in and take our part, grab that
absolutely.
What's assigned
to. And sometimes other people are driving it and we should be in the driver's seat, right?
Right.
Same premise.
Yeah.
It's like, are you sure you want to go there? And are you sure you want to go with them?
Yeah. What else was in that dream? Right.
Right.
If it's a clue to what the direction is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a lot to it because you've got rear mirrors and things like that. And that all plays into the meaning of what the car might be about too.
Exactly.
Are you looking in the past or, are you backing up?
Your focus. Yeah.
Is your windshield clean?
Yeah.
Are you seeing the road?
Yeah. Are you seeing clearly? Do you have the clarity that you need, or are your teeth and the windshield covered in bugs? Good protein. Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And I love Jill's dreams about the bear. I've had dreams about, and we talked about a couple of, Jill and I were together on, and we were talking about the spiders for a while. Everybody in school were dreaming. They were all dreaming about spiders, and oh my gosh, everybody was freaking out. This melody, it's spiders. And it just became so clear as we got closer to the retreat, and the Lord was like, you got to watch Charlotte's Web, the movie Charlotte's Web, and just the storyline and the way it all came together. And I love that the Lord, he will use sometimes those colloquialisms. He will use statements, idioms, adages that maybe you haven't heard in years, but that your family used to say. He will use lines. He uses lines for me from movies a lot. So, I had a dream one time, I wake up and it's, no, I think my best friend had this dream. It just seems so clear to me. But yeah, there was like a bump on the wall or something. And she woke up hearing, "You're not in Kansas anymore, Toto." And it was like, oh boy, not in Kansas anymore. This is fixing to get crazy. And it does. It absolutely does. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I love it though when he uses stories, or storylines, or just lines, one-liners from movies. Sometimes I feel like even when I'm just talking to the Lord, I'll be asking like, what is that thing that feels like a familiar spirit? What is that thing coming up? And, it's like you hear, oh, it's all the usual suspects. oh, okay. Oh, okay. Those guys, fear, shame, regret, remorse. I know all of those guys by name. Yeah, absolutely. It's the usual suspects. Mm-hmm. Oh boy.
And music, old songs that you hadn't heard in 40 years, the one-liner in the songs.
I love it. I love it when you wake up to a song. Go ahead, darling.
Yeah, well, that Bohemian Rhapsody, I kept waking up hearing that song and I thought, oh, stop, go away. That religious thing. I'm not involved in that. I don't know what it means and I don't want it. But then once it drove me crazy enough to where I started sharing it, it was like, oh, that's a great song. Look at it through this lens, and that makes all the difference.
Yeah. And what's that song? You guys know, I always get that something happens and then the Lord will say to me, it's something about, it's not the world, it's the end of the world as you know it. That always comes up. It's the end of the world as you know it. Boy, is that not the truth. Oy vey.
Yeah, so much change recently.
Well, I think, music really speaks to your heart. So lots of times it's meant for comfort, and it's amazing how he uses those songs. And you do. I think he sings over us, when we're asleep. And lots of times we'll wake up hearing a song over us. So, yeah, it's pretty neat. I love that. And it's usually, very comforting. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, Lisa, the next line is, and I feel fine. Yeah, the end of the world as you know it, and I feel fine. Yeah, it's going to be okay, isn't it, ladies? It's going to be, our gents, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
It's going to be okay.
And back to our horse theme, Riders on the Storm, I know is one of Jill's favorites.
Say that again. I coughed.
Back to our horse theme that Jill used to talk about, Riders on the Storm, how it just
yes,
feel the electric excitement, anticipation of where we're going.
Yeah.
I heard that in a movie the other day. I don't even, not the other day, but 2 or 3 weeks ago. I can't even remember now what it was, but it was literally in a movie that I was watching.
Wow.
I know. Yeah, he speaks through whatever, and he will speak through, again, your language sometimes, but you still miss it because you're like, does he talk like that? Right? Would he say that? Sure he would. Absolutely.
And even more if we listen.
And even more if we listen. And even more if we get a kick out of it. He has a sense of humor.
Yeah.
Doesn't he? Do you know, one time years and years and years ago, when you were on an airplane and just the very front had a great big screen, you didn't have them all in the back of the seat ahead of you. We were going to Atlanta, my husband and I, and the movie that played was Michael the Archangel, and he was played by John Travolta, which he's kind of, it was interesting. But the song Spirit in the Sky came on, and I'm not kidding you, we felt this like hitting, those slow down bars in the bump things, speed bumps. And my husband immediately was like this, and by then everybody was starting to go to sleep. Well, it turns out that the engine blew, and so for the next 20 minutes there was fuel being dumped, but like I said, everybody was falling asleep, only Alan and then one other person in that plane would turn around, they would look at each other, and Alan said, we just lost an engine. And I said, shut up. What are you doing? You're going to freak everybody out. And he goes, we shouldn't be freaking out right now. Well, at that point in my life, I was backslidden. And I'll tell you what, in one heartbeat, I was repentant. I was set free. My holy I was so hoping that today was my day to meet him face to face. But, it didn't happen. But it was interesting how the whole thing went. And anyway, I still didn't believe him. I thought maybe he's just being a stinker. But he finally said, which way was the sun shining? On which side of the plane? When we took off. And sure enough, it was on the other side now. And then the pilot said, this is what's going on. And we had to turn back to Salt Lake City. And they had all the emergency vehicles But like I said, I was almost disappointed and wanted to cry that Jesus, I thought, this was over my craziness. But new life, new life. And like I said, this was
Sorry,
a good
Darla,
thing.
it's not
So,
time. You
I
have too
know.
much yet to do, my dear.
But the reality is we do get him face to face if
We
we do
do.
have time to meet with them.
Every day,
Yep,
24/7.
we do.
All
And
we have to do is just look at his gaze, because he is, we incline ourselves to him, and he is literally gazing into our eyes with passion and love. Yeah.
and you mentioned Song of Solomon a bit ago, but when he says, your face is lovely, your voice is sweet, don't turn away. It's like you're not hiding and comforting yourself, you're hurting this one
Yeah.
who would love us but won't force us, with any situation. But yeah, that don't turn away is
And the only reason we would turn away is shame.
one of those, what'd you call them? Familiar players?
Yeah, familiar spirits, right? One
Yeah,
of
the
those.
usual suspects is what you called them.
Oh yeah, usual suspects, absolutely, usual suspect, and yeah, where we come into shame. The enemy is so he so knows what he's doing, and he's a lot of things, but he's not stupid, because he knows a lot about mankind. But when we feel shame, we distance ourselves from righteousness, from the Father's presence, and it's in his presence that is all healed, that is all diminished, that is all annihilated, and that all goes away. Yeah, but if we're holding on to mindsets, the way we understand things, performance-based religion and dogma, theology, then it's all we know. But he looks past all of that and says, "You are beautiful. Don't turn away. Don't turn away. I see the places where you're wounded. I see the places where you're hurt. I see the places where you're still a little dirty, and I love you all the same." Yeah. How sweet.
And it's his good pleasure to comfort us and forgive us. And, yeah.
It really is. It really is. Well, ladies, I appreciate you being with me today. And guys, thank you so much. It was so much fun seeing Lisa and Anita and Daughter and whoever else has shown up. We just love you guys, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. So have a wonderful day, and thanks for being here.